What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's had a great weekend for those of you that are tuning in live. For those that have maybe, this is the first time that you're tuning into Sunday service, my name is Cody Barton. Myself and my business partner, Pace Morby, have been doing Sunday service now for 3 years. And we're excited to continue to come to you every Sunday, bringing information on things that is working in our business, things that we're doing in our business, shifts that we're making as, things in the market start to shift, and finding other opportunities within the real estate industry to capitalize and, create new opportunities for our company. So that's what we're here to do. And tonight, I'm really excited to share specifically with a special guest on here shortly, talking about something called Gator Lending. And for those of you that may be like, what the heck is Gator Lending? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Is what is it? What's the concept behind it? And how do I, is that something that I can do? Is, maybe you're listening in and you're like, well, I'm a beginner. I've never done a real estate deal. Is this something that I can do? And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And so I wanted to start this with, kind of preface this conversation a little bit, because I think, now more than ever, people realize the opportunity. When you have money, the opportunities that you have to be able to invest, opportunities that you have to be able to start a business, the opportunities to have to create more freedom in your life. And so I think, there's a big representation of that in this world, which is the banking system. And this is going to lead into the conversation around Gator Lending tonight. And so for obviously everyone knows, the banking system for what it is. There's the Wells Fargo's, there's the JP Morgan Chase, there's, the Bank of America's, right? There's these big banks, and, regardless of what city you live in, those banks are typically the biggest buildings, because they're the most profitable organizations in the world, these big banks. And so, unfortunately for folks like you, for folks like myself, I wasn't born in this special situation to be able to be an owner of Chase Bank, or to be in a situation of ownership of a bank like that, right? So, where do we find those opportunities for people like ourselves to be able to take advantage of some of the opportunities that these banks do? Because, for example, like, for those that don't know this, banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, these big banks, when you go deposit your money at those banks, they don't have to keep all of your money in the bank. They're out making loans with your money for people to get car loans, home loans, all sorts of different loans. And so, as that's happening, it makes so much sense how banks are able to make so much money. So you're telling me, as a bank, that I don't have to use our own money, we can go and use other people's money to go lend and make money? It's basically, to them, a free resource, because their resource is, people depositing their savings in the bank. And so you say, okay, well, obviously that is something that the banks do, but that's just what the banks do. Well, there's something that, Pace and myself have been doing in our business, and we've been doing this for, years now. And that's where this Gator Lending concept came up from, where essentially, utilizing other people's money, OPM, other people's money, whether it's banks, whether it's, private money lenders, utilizing that money to lend, and then get a return on your investment, a return on that capital, which to you is essentially an infinite return, because, of course, it's not actually your money, really. It's somebody else's money that you're using in place, right? So that's something that, Pace and I have done for years, whether it's on fix and flips, rentals, Airbnbs, multifamily deals, all these different deal opportunities, lending money to people for their earnest money on their wholesale transactions. There's a lot of different ways that you can utilize this. And so, we're going to be talking about that a little bit tonight, really speaking to those that, I'd be curious, in the comment section for, I'd be curious in the comment section. Those that have not yet done a deal, for those obviously listening live, put a me in the comment section. I'm curious if you have not done a deal yet. You're still working on trying to get a deal done in your real estate business. Would love to hear. And seeing where everyone's tuning in from. We got Texas, Miami, Bay Area. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Happy Sunday. All right. So we have a lot for those that maybe not be watching live or listening live. We have a lot. I mean, there's probably, 50 to 100 me's of people that said, I haven't got a deal done yet. I haven't done it yet, but I'm here. I'm here to learn. I want to get my first deal done. So there are so many ways to do deals in this business. Obviously, you can listen to the series of Sunday service where Pace and I talk about a lot of different strategies and ways to get a deal done. And what is a deal done? Just finding a way to monetize within the real estate industry is like, hey, let's get a deal done, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. So a lot of me's here. So those that are saying me, you're in good company. Out of looks like a fourth of the people, about 450 people watching and listening live right now, are in that similar situation. So I've been in that situation myself. Facebook user. We stream live on 7 different platforms, sir or ma'am. I don't know because it says Facebook user, but we stream on multiple platforms. All right, cool. Awesome. So a lot of people in the situation haven't got a deal done. I just want to address this before I actually roll into this. So Julie says, I feel like an idiot for not having bought a property yet. You don't have to feel like an idiot. You're here to learn. You're here to find, new strategies and find ways to be able to get deals done. A lot of success is really like, learning new things and then taking consistent action on a daily basis. I'm not going to go too much into that, but don't feel like an idiot for not being there yet. Every master was once a disaster. Every master that that has dozens or hundreds or thousands of doors or properties or has done, that amount of deals, they were once a disaster. They didn't, come out of the womb, ready to buy deals. Like everyone had to learn. So just understand you are in good company there. So let's go ahead and talk about Gator and the reason why we're talking about this. So Gator Lending, this was Pace's brainchild, where essentially, obviously for those of you that have been tuning in for a while, that we talk creative finance a lot within, Pace's subject to, sub 2 community. And within the business that we've been doing for years now, we talk about doing creative, real estate. And for us, like doing strategies like that are utilized in Gator Lending were already things that were just normal for us to do in our business. But when we started talking about it to other people, they're like, oh my gosh, like I could do that and I could actually make some extra money. And for us, we're like, oh, like this is just how we've been running our business. So we didn't think of it as like something that other people would want to hear. So, Pace had this idea of like, well, why don't we share this with the world and like let people know like, hey, how are we doing this? Like, what are the steps? Like, where do I go? How do I get started? Where do I start? Right? Those things. And so Pace actually did on his YouTube a couple videos around Gator Lending. And there were so many people that were like, dude, like help me out. Show me how to get this thing rolling. And so we're like, well, maybe we could put something together to be able to share with more people, like just in more depth, I guess, and like be able to show like, okay, these are the things that we did to be able to get started, whether it was, getting lines of credit to, fund earnest money, whether it's earnest money on your deals or other people's deals, whether it's, using that line of credit to maybe make a down payment for a property that you're going to flip, or fund the rehab on somebody else's deal for them to be able to flip and for you to wedge your way into making money on that. There's a lot of different ways that you can utilize Gator Lending. And so I'm going to share this with everybody in the comment section here, because we didn't have enough time tonight. It's not really like a quick 30-45 minute thing that we would normally talk through on a Sunday service. And so what we decided to do was set it up as its own specific live, so completely for free. You don't have to pay anything to get there. It's just literally a webinar for or a live, just like you're watching if you're watching this live, where we're going to be talking about Gator Lending. You know, Pace is going to be talking about, you know, getting started using Gator Lending, even if you haven't got a deal done. So just wanting, I'm going to share this in the comment section. If you see there, the paceapproves.com/Gator trainings, you can go register for the live, which is on Saturday at 9 a.m. October 8th with Pace. And this is going to be the outlet for you to be able to, you know, learn how to really get your Gator Lending, side hustle, if it's a side thing for you, or main hustle, you know, set up for yourself to be able to start, implementing Gator Lending into your business. So Pace is going to be doing that Saturday, 9 a.m., October 8th. I think there's seats for like 1,500 or so people to be on there. So there is limited seats, but obviously you have the link there to be able to go and register. So Mrs. REI says already registered. So again, October 8th, 9 a.m. Saturday, Pace is going to be going through everything Gator Lending related, how to get started, how to make money doing Gator Lending, and where do you go to get the ball rolling. So without further ado, a lot of people getting registered already. Awesome. We'll talk about it. Let's rock and roll here. So I have a special guest on here that is going to pop in. Okay, so those that are commenting in the comment section, it's 9 a.m. PST, Arizona time. Whatever time it is in Arizona, 9 a.m. PST. And I will post that one more time. All right, cool. So 9 a.m. Arizona time, everybody. That is incorrect. So whatever time 9 a.m. Arizona time is on Saturday, October 8th is when it's going to be on there. So, all right. Well, we do have a special guest that is popping in. Adam, man, thank you so much for taking the time Sunday night. I know this is the time when most people are, taking the time to recharge and like get ready for the week and like relax and all of that. So appreciate you hopping on here, Adam. Do you want to real quick just introduce yourself? Where are you from? Adam has had some success already with Gator Lending. And so we're just going to talk about it a little bit from his perspective, because what I don't want to do is, people sometimes when they get on these and they see me and Pace, they're like, well, yeah, that's easy for you guys to do because you already have a successful business to get private money and access to funds to do these types of deals. So am I back? Are we back? Can you hear me, Adam?
I can.
Perfect. All right. Amazing. Right as I'm going into it, it's just like, we're out.
Didn't know if it was you or me.
Hey, it happens.
Yep.
Gosh, dang it. Everyone's going to go telling Pace like Cody's internet. Man, I've had so many texts over at my house to try to get my internet situation figured out. And they're like, I think it's just where your house is located. And I'm like, what? I don't know what else to do. But anyway, so Adam, let's talk Gator Lending, man. Introduce yourself. Where are you from? Gosh, dang it. All these comments, just people trashing my freaking internet. Where are you from? When did you kind of get introduced to the Gator Lending concept? And, we'll kind of go back and forth on it a little bit here.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for letting me join you tonight. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Minnesota, born and raised here, and then have lived in a bunch of other places and back here now. And I joined Sub 2 back in December of last year and jumped into that. And then when Pace brought up the Gator Lending, I just jumped on it right away. So I had actually done a lending deal prior to that before hearing about Gator Lending. So it was a nice way to get a lot more education on it and just start jumping in.
So let's talk about that real quick, Adam. So you had already done a deal that you'd lent some money. I guess let's talk about that experience. Like what were you lending on? Like what was the situation?
Yeah, it was another Sub 2 student, and he needed a double close, and so
Okay.
we had just gotten a little bit of money in the bank account and thought, hey, this is a perfect opportunity for this. And in true Sub 2 fashion, the other student, he basically walked me through the whole process because he had sort of done it before. And double closes can be 24 hours, or as I found out, they can be 6 weeks. This one was supposed to be 3, ended up taking 6, but got finished in the end.
That's awesome. So if you don't mind sharing, like, so what was the deal setup? Like, what did you have to bring to the table for this, this individual, this other Sub 2 student to get their deal, funded and done? Like, what were they able to make on the deal? And then like, what was the benefit for you on that, Adam?
Yeah. So it was 175,000.
Uh-huh.
And he was already at the point where he had all contracts signed. So he was able to send them to me, and it just felt super low risk. The end buyer, on the second close, the B2C buyer was a hedge fund buyer, and he just laid everything out. And me being new, I Googled like transactional lending, which essentially what it was. I said, what should I charge for that? And most websites were like 1% to 2%. So I said, okay, 2%. And I said, well, that's certainly easy money if I just wire it over and get it wired back at the end. And that's exactly how it worked out.
That's amazing. Were you like, how did that feel when you got that done though? Like, because obviously the first one, you're like, all right, I'm gonna send this chunk of cash I'm gonna wire this to some title company I probably never don't have a relationship with, and get a couple points on it and see how it goes.
Yeah, the most nerve-wracking part was punching that number into my computer and double checking account numbers probably 10 times and just being like, am I really doing this? Because this was most of our money. And I just click send and it went and
It made it.
made it, get the confirmation email from the title company, and then it was just sitting back and waiting. And
That's
so
amazing.
yeah, it's like you get so excited for it to come back, and then it comes back and you're like, all right, next. It feels a little anticlimactic. There should be some sort of
like no one sent you like confetti and like balloons when it arrived.
Yeah. But no, just some numbers there.
That's great. That's great. So real quick, I just want to address this. So say 2%. So on that 175,000, you essentially made $3,500. Is that right?
That's right.
So and what would that time frame, that should have been like within a day, but it took like a couple of weeks, right? You were saying?
It was supposed to be 3 weeks, actually. There was something with the hedge fund buyer that's the way that they needed to do it. So it was supposed to be 3, but it ended up taking 5 or 6 weeks because of one form that the HOA wouldn't provide.
Oh gosh, yeah.
HOAs.
I've been there. HOAs are, something else. Saved for offline conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
So because a couple people were saying, like, Kyle's like, well, what is that percent a month? Rick Watson says 2%. That doesn't sound good. So this is a quick in and out transaction, just so everybody knows what Adam was doing. It wasn't like he's like, here's $175,000 for a year and give me 2% on that money. This was a quicker in and out transaction for him to be able to get those funds back. So that was the first deal. that you did. So I guess what's the next, what was the next situation, or what did you learn, as you were going through Gator? Because you said that you learned a lot more to like be, more safe, I guess, or more educated around it. Like, so what did that look like, Adam?
Yeah, I think, well, one, it was what I should be asking for in return. Obviously it was low, but it was better than 0%.
Yeah.
It was taking imperfect action, which just led to a whole new comfort level and a whole new, open mind to this lending world.
So I just want to comment on that, Adam, because you're saying it's like I should have asked for more, right? Like I've totally, so I had a mentor. I don't want to derail us too much on this, but I had a mentor that the first deal I ever did, Adam, was actually a joint venture fix and flip with a seasoned investor in my town, and I had door knocked the deal, got the deal to him, and he closed it, flipped it. There was all sorts of nasty problems and liens and things that came up on, so the numbers got tighter and tighter. And by the end of the deal, we were expecting to make 50 grand, and we ended up, it made like 16 grand. So like my check, instead of 25, turned into, like $8,000 after all of that. It was kind of anticlimactic for me on that experience. And, the thing that always stuck with me from what he told me, because I'm like, man, like I really wish that deal would have made more money. And he's like, Cody, what's better, best about the situation, it's it's better than a sharp stick in the eye. So like anytime like I make just less money than I expect, I'm like, my old mentor used to tell me it's better than a sharp stick in the eye. So anytime I make positive money, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and it's the experience too. More than worth it. It's beyond the
learning.
money. So yep.
So I interrupted you, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh no. I really, what I learned just from doing that was that I need to have something in place where if the deal goes longer than expected, then that there needs to be some kind of fee or penalty. So I actually set that up with my next deal, another sub 2 student, and this was for 100,000, and this was to help fund a flip. And again, this was one where they actually had an end buyer kind of ready to go, and so we said, okay, it was 100,000. Let's do it. However, 6 weeks, I think it was supposed to be, give a week buffer. And I just said, let's just do like a quarter point per week that you go beyond that. And said, okay, that's fine. So this was back in May. Yeah. And I still don't have that back yet.
And this was on a flip.
This was on a flip. So that buyer ended up backing out. And then they've been doing work and they've had it listed, and they're getting there. They have it under contract now with an end buyer, but it's
been a journey for you and them.
It has been a journey. Yeah.
So let's talk about this deal then. So this deal, you lent them $100,000. Like what's the deal situation? Like they bought it for what? Like they got your $100,000. What are they selling it for? What are they going to make? And what are you looking at, being able to make on this deal now, especially with like all those accrued fees?
Yeah. So this was, I think they bought it in the low 200s. I don't remember a lot of the really specific numbers, but they were looking for a 6-figure profit on it. And I think they can still get there because they sold it, or it's under contract for the high 4s. So they're in there, and I think, put in 100 to 150. So they still have a pretty nice margin on that. And again, this is one where I probably could have asked for more, but I went out on a limb and asked for 2.5%, and then just a quarter point per week. And I don't even know how many weeks it's been now. But this was another valuable lesson learned, in that whatever my sort of the annualized return should be during the time that the money is supposed to be out, that my penalty to them should maintain that rate of return on an annualized basis, essentially. So no matter how long they hold my money, I'm getting the same return, and on an annual basis. This one, if you're looking at an annual return, it gets a little bit lower the longer they hold it.
Yeah, 100%.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So some new people on here probably like, what in the heck is Adam talking about? Annualized return and like, add in the fee to basically what Adam's saying is like, so say if he's like, let's just, for simple math for everybody here. So say if you invest $100,000 and you want to get 12% annually on that money, you would be on a monthly basis generating, say, $1,000 a month, $12,000 in the year. If you're looking at getting 12% on your money over 1 year's time. So essentially that's what Adam's talking about, is like making sure with whatever the desired return is, that he's protecting himself, and the way that he's setting up his agreement with the folks that he's doing these loans with, so that he's insured to still get his percentage, annualized, that he's looking to get. And so, of course, that's something for those that are still like, yo, like this is still a lot. Again, super more in depth into more of the details on this on the live with Pace next Saturday. But something that I try to do in deals, obviously, like that was supposed to be, well, that was more technically of a loan, because that wasn't even a transaction. Uh, you know,
I think you're back now.
oh my gosh. How long were you expecting to have the money out for on that deal originally when you first lent on this flip?
Oh, 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. And it's, we're getting close to 5 months, 6 months.
Oh my gosh. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now everyone's on the, harass Cody train for the internet again. It's just unbelievable. So that's something, obviously the lesson learned in that deal is like making sure whatever your fees are, equaling that. So like whatever, if you're trying to get, say, 10, 12, 15, 18% within that year's, if you look at it over a year, to making sure that if you're doing loan extensions, that it's adding up to, be that in your fees. So something that I'll do sometimes on the loans that I'll do for people, Adam, is it obviously, depends on the deal, depends on the person, like I have to make sure it works out. But like I'm always shooting to get 18% on annualized basis on any money that I lend out.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I just did a loan where my interest rate was 12%, so less than 18, but I charged in points, and I charged in points up front, and the note is only 6 months long, that I actually do make 18%. But the person getting the loan from me feels better because they're only paying on a 12% on a monthly basis, but I collected points up front. So it's still annualized out at 18%.
Nice. Yeah, I think I will consider starting some points up front just to have that. And, some of the fees you incur with wire fees and whatever it else may be, it is nice to have that built in a bit. But my subsequent deals, I've definitely been a lot more aggressive with.
So what are for your recommendation for people that are wanting to do this as well? Like, what have you changed on those upcoming deals, or these newer deals that you've done?
Yeah, it's I can tell you about 2 deals that were both 60 some odd thousand, and the borrower was really needing the funding, so they were a little bit desperate, and they actually offered just a flat 40% return on the money I was going to lend to them. And they said, "We will have your money back in a month." And I said, "Okay." Said, "I'll give you, I'll give you 30 or 31 days, whatever it is. I'll build in like a 4-day buffer. So let's say 35 days. And every day beyond that, it's $1,000 a day." And I'm like, "If you're really serious about this, you'll do it." They said, "Okay." So that, depending on the deal, of course, they were expecting multiple 6-figure returns on this. And I will tell you right now, they're almost 4 weeks late.
And so they're $1,000 a day?
1,000 a day.
Oh my.
Yeah. So they're feeling that pressure.
Oh
to
my
say the
gosh.
least.
Yeah, I would say so. Holy crap. I mean, that's something to say. I mean, this year in general, I can say this as, a fix and flipper, and, construction, everything's delayed this year. Like this
Yeah.
last couple of years, like, first you had, obviously COVID, which then was, supply chain things. Like it was, a lot of supply chain issues. Those aren't really happening to us as much in our business, but we dealt with that. And then our next issue was really, now interest rates rising. Interest rates, have went from people getting 3% back in freaking March of this year to now they're getting, 7%, with, the Fed is talking about raising rates again, right? So those fix and flips that were like easy slam dunk, like it'll sell in like 5 days, are still selling. It's just like, instead of 5 days, it's like, 45 days for those same projects to move off the market. And during that time, those holding costs can hurt for people, which it sounds like, and on your end, it sounds like it's going to be a good win for you on this deal though.
Yeah. And I know they're working hard. I will throw them a bone and probably not really charge them that full amount. Some of it is, I'm going to throw that out there. And if they really, it gives you a gauge of how confident they feel about the deal.
Yeah.
I think is a good way to do that. So if that's something they're willing to do, I think it can be a good sign in my mind.
Yeah. So what's going on with that deal? I'm just curious. I'm like, what's is it listed? Like, are they done with the construction? Where are they at?
Yeah, I think they were a little in over their heads.
Mhm.
It was a couple of single family homes that they were wanting to add on to and add a significant amount of square footage, and they had construction crews ready to go. But it was a new city for them that they were doing this in, and the permitting process took a little bit longer.
Mm.
And so they were going to try to use some of the draws from hard money to pay me off. And they had a few different ideas of ways to do it, potentially just sell the properties before the work is done and just sell the plans and everything like that. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to sell a few of their houses as a portfolio deal. And they also have another deal in a different state that they can potentially use to try to pay me off. They're trying a whole host of things. But
Oh
I
yeah.
think, I think construction has just taken a little longer, and that's really what's been holding it up.
So have you done any fix and flips on your own to this point?
I've done not like true fix and flips. They've been more burrs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I've
mean,
done
but
3 or 4,
you've went through like the brain damage of the actual construction though.
Yes, without a doubt. Painful.
You're
I'm in the middle of one right now. It's just, yeah.
You're like, all right, I'm gonna spend 50 at the end of it. You're like, how did I spend $75,000 on this property?
Yeah. Here's another adjustment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we just have this other thing we just found, so there's
Yeah.
this issue. And, I know we said it was going to be done in 4 weeks, but, here we are at, almost 8 weeks in. I think we got another 2 weeks left and then we'll be done.
Yeah. Oh, wait, 4 weeks later. Yep. It's painful.
Yes. Oh yeah. 100%. So, definitely, feel you on that. So I've seen a couple people comment about, lending on earnest money, because that's where a lot of people are at, because obviously like you have this capital, Adam, that you're able to put, to lend and get a return on. Have like what would you say would be the biggest things that people need to be looking for, like if they're going to be, lending money for somebody's earnest money? Because that obviously, like, that's, a little bit lower hanging fruit for people on here that are like, I don't have any money, or I only have a couple $1,000s, and that's more attainable to lend on earnest money, which is, what in Gator Lending it teaches how to get access to that money to be able to do that. But, in your opinion, like what do you think people have to be looking out for when they're lending on earnest money?
I think you just really need to try to understand the person that you're lending to, sort of what is their experience level. So I've lent out 5 times on earnest money, and so far I'm 0 for 5. They've been a little bit, they're all wholesalers. They've been a little bit newer. And I was totally okay with that. Like, that's one of the huge benefits to me in lending on EMD, is trying to help people who are just getting started.
Yeah.
And it's, but again, kind of vetting them to a degree, but then also their deal. Do their numbers make sense? And even if you don't have experience in real estate to know that, being in, Pace's group on Facebook, there's so many people you can lean on to kind of help with that process. And so if they're, they bring you a deal and say, oh, I need 3,000 in earnest money, I've got this, and they're telling you what they bought it for in the ARV, and you go and get help running the comps, and that ARV is nowhere close to what they're saying, that's just an immediate red flag that it might not be the best deal to lend on.
Right.
And you can ask if they've had experience or they have a buyer's list, because all of mine, they just weren't able to find a buyer.
Right.
So that certainly helps to know that they do have put in that work to find a good buyer's list and feel like they they have someone already ready to go.
Right.
A buyer, which is
having it ready to, having somebody ready to roll on that. So, and so for a few people have commented like, oh, like that doesn't sound good. Like 0 and 5 on lending on EMD. Like, how are you, securing your funds? So here's the thing, guys. And Adam can probably, touch on this as well. But when it comes to lending on EMD, you're getting a contract signed with the person that you're lending the EMD for at the title company or closing attorney. And you're ensuring through the process that we teach you how to do that you have a mutual release to release your earnest money back to you at the end of the inspection period, so you get your money back if the buyer doesn't find, or if that wholesaler does not have the end buyer ready to go signed with their earnest money to then replace your earnest money. So it'll mutually just be released back to you at the end of the inspection period. That's how you want to set these deals up. So that's where you can have ones where you put the money out, you have that security to be able to get those funds back if the deal doesn't get sold to that end buyer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And never send your money to an individual. I mean, that's the key, is all these funds need to go to a title company where you know that they're going to be safe. You Google the title company yourself and their contact info, because they'll send you wire instructions, and there could be, who knows whose info could be on there potentially. So when you get those wire instructions, you Google the title company, you call them from that Google search, you confirm all of that, and then you should feel pretty safe sending it to them. But then they have the contracts to say, if this falls through during that inspection period, when the buyer can get out of it, that money just comes right back.
Yep. And so on that too, because Kyle was like, well, how are these secured? And a couple of people are like, well, how are you protecting your money, and asking those sorts of questions. It's exactly like Adam said, like making sure you never ever send your money to an individual, ever, whether it's EMD, whether it's for funds on a flip, whether it's any of that. You never send your money to an individual. You want to make sure that that's going to the title company or closing attorney, and that you have your documents in order with that company, so that you make sure that your money is secured. You communicated with them about where your money is being sent, that they received it, they give you a receipt, all of those good things like that. That's what you want to be able to do. And so somebody else asked, what is EMD? And I know a couple of people answered, but just for another platform that may be watching and someone's sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what the heck EMD is. It's earnest money deposit. So it's the money that, like, if somebody, a buyer, a potential buyer writes a contract, like I say I'm going to buy Adam's house, and I have a contract with Adam to purchase this property for $100,000. And I say, hey, I'm going to put an earnest money deposit of $1,000. It's basically like my goodwill of, like, I'm going to buy this property. I'm going to put $1,000 at the title company, saying how serious I am about buying this property. And that's essentially what the earnest money deposit's for. And so depending on how the deal, the paperwork's written, that earnest money deposit will either be refunded to you as the buyer or the Gator lender, or go to the seller if the paperwork's not done correctly.
And I'll, speaking to the 0 out of 5 that haven't worked, 8 out of 10 wholesale deals don't ever go through. So just like everything else in real estate, it's a numbers game. And so if I do eventually, hopefully get to that one that does go through, hopefully then that can be a repeat customer. It's just finding that core group of people that you can potentially lend to, and just keep that going.
100%. So Adam, I wanted to, find, I guess, maybe a final question, because as you've been, doing this over the last few months, learning kind of some of the methods for Gator lending and like making money work for you, what would you say would be like your number one piece of advice before we, bring you off for this evening, for anybody that's like wanting to get started doing, a similar thing with Gator lending?
I mean, it's just take imperfect action. I think like so much of it is, it's not going to be perfect. Well, and don't lose money. I mean, that's Warren Buffett says that, Pay says that, really should be rule number one. But you're going to get that education through the Gator training to not lose money if you follow all the steps. But really, it's just take, within what you're comfortable, just take that imperfect action, and you're gonna learn so much. And it's just, you can take off from there.
100%. Love it. So you guys heard it from Adam, taking imperfect action. I think that, people can, take that to all areas of their life. I think a lot of people overthink things. They get into analysis paralysis. They just want to know everything before they get started. Obviously, when it involves, investing and moving your money around, you want to be confident in the steps that you're taking so that you're set up for success. But I think it's just in taking action on getting through those steps so that you can confidently move forward with your decision. So Adam, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. Everyone say thank you to Adam. Appreciate it. And I know it's late. What is it? Almost 10 o'clock for you right now?
It is, yeah. A little bit past my bedtime, but I'll get there.
Awesome. Well, have a good night, Adam. Appreciate it again. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Reach out anyone if questions. Happy to chat.
Awesome. Where's the best place for people to reach out to you, Adam?
Oh, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Adam Putschagel. Poochie is in my nickname on Facebook, so you can find me that way too.
Awesome. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
See you. All right. So, guys, obviously, I wanted to bring Adam on just because he is in that situation of being newer, especially when it comes to, utilizing some of his money to be able to get into deals. And obviously, for those of you that are like, I don't have a lot of my own personal capital to be able to do deals like Adam was doing, but I want to learn how I can get access to capital to do exactly that. Again, for those that hadn't heard earlier, I'm posting the link in the chat below. Pace is doing on October 8th, 9 a.m. Pacific time on it's a Saturday morning, talking through live. It's totally free, teaching you how to get started, the basics behind Gator lending. Because the next few minutes, I'm just going to talk a little bit on like what you can do once you get through the basics. But next Saturday is really going to be for you that want to learn how to do the basics so that you can get to next stage, which is doing more, types of deals where you're getting bigger chunks of equity, of cash out of these deals. So I just wanted to talk about when you look at Gator lending, like the ways that you can utilize, whether it's your own capital, but we're gonna throw that out right now, as if if you don't have your own capital to be able to put your money into deals with, but how you can use either business lines of credit or how raising private capital from other people with money and how you can leverage that capital to put into deals to then get a return on those funds. And so the things that we've done, within our business is probably 3.5, 4 years. Gosh dang. Sorry about the cutting out there, guys. Ooh. Let's see if I'm back. All right. I think I'm back. Gosh dang, guys. Anybody works for Cox Internet, please. If anybody works for Cox Internet or knows somebody, they got to help me out here. It's consistent. They come to my house all the time and then never fix anything. I don't get it. Anyway, so Miriam said, can you have multiple Gators in one deal? I am going to talk about this. So I will get to it. Cody, let's just get you a new house. Yes, please. Somebody find me a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot house in North Mesa on a seller carry. So that would be great. Anyway, so what's possible once you've actually gotten once you've gotten yourself to the point of you now have business lines of credit or you have access to private money, what you can do is amazing, because Pace and I exclusively over the last almost 4 years did all of our fix and flips with private money or lines of credit. We would get our private money lenders to fund the acquisition of the deal, and then we would use lines of credit to fund our renovations. So we were literally $0 out of pocket on our fix and flips, which allowed us to scale, which allowed us to do a lot of projects because we set ourselves up where we were playing like the Wells Fargos, the Bank of Americas, where they weren't playing with their own money. They were playing with other people's money to be able to make their money. So that, on the fix and flip side, when it comes to Airbnbs, Pace and I on the first original ones we had set up, we would fund the purchase with private money. We would refinance into long-term debt, or we would buy it on creative finance terms. And then we would use our line of credit to actually fund furnishing the property. So then once it was furnished and it started bringing in cash, then we just paid down our line of credit with the cash flow from the Airbnbs. So there are a lot of things that you can do. And the really one of the fastest ways that you can expedite your own wealth building is by utilizing, other people's money to get into deals that you're doing, because you don't have to wait for you to just save up all of that capital. There's already people in the world that have the money that you need to do the deals that you want to do. You just have to find them and bring them to the deals that you're doing, make the terms promising for them so that you can utilize their capital in your deals. And the best part about getting lines of credit is it's not a person that you even have to, convince or try to sell on doing a deal. You have the authority to utilize that capital to invest in what you see fit and get the returns that you're looking for with that capital. Okay, so saw we had a couple questions here. So when it comes to having multiple Gators on a deal, you can technically, and it just depends on the deal breakdown. So Miriam was asking, can you have multiple Gator lenders in a deal? So yes, you can. Say lender one on a deal could be somebody lending those funds to acquire the deal. So that would be the person that's lending you, say, $100,000 to purchase it. So that's Gator lender number one. And let's say that the property needs $30,000 to fix it up, and then it'll resell for, say, $200,000. So then you go and get a second Gator lender and say have them be the one that funds the renovation on the deal. So then you'd have 2 Gator lenders. You'd have one in first position and the second in second position against your property. So you can have multiple Gator lenders. Every deal is going to be a little bit different. Really, the start is just learning how to, if you don't already have tons and tons of capital, or if you do have capital, but you want to just learn strategies of once you have that capital, how to deploy it in strategic ways to be able to get a good return on your cash or a good return on your line of credit. That's exactly what Pace is spending his next Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific teaching you how to do, from like literally the basics to the advanced, once you've really established good lines of credit, good private money lenders, how to, transform that into more multiple deals without using your own money. So I just posted the link in the chat below. For those that, hadn't seen that or hadn't gotten registered yet, it's totally free. Pace is doing it, talking through all of these concepts. And then he's going to have a little Q&A section as well, just kind of like showing you, some maybe some case studies and, just making sure that people fully understand what they're looking at. So the reason we wanted to talk about this and, really go through this whole Gator lending concept is because there are so many ways to make money in real estate. And so for some people, it's really just finding the niche that works for them. Like there's certain people that like fix and flips are their jam. And like they had, a rich uncle that helped fund their deals from the beginning. And like that was their jam and they were good. There's some people that they get into wholesaling and they build it from scratch and, turn it into an empire. And that's awesome. Or there's some people that, they get into assisted living, or some people get into sober living homes or Airbnb. Like there's so many ways to make money in real estate. And so for some people, it's about finding the niche that's going to be the best fit for them, that makes sense the most for them to be able to make money in their real estate investing business, or have this as like another tool in your tool belt that you use in your business. Because it's something that I use. Like I actively lend money into people's fix and flip deals and take a percentage of either the profits or a nice interest rate return. I'll lend money for people's earnest money on deals to get a good return on the cash. There's a lot of different ways that you can implement this, whether it's something you're going to spend a lot of time on or just add as like a tool in your tool belt to, work with maybe some other investors in your local market or in a community that you're involved in. So I'll finish with this question here, and then I will let you guys on with your evening. So Dan says, Cody, how does the title company help protect the Gator lender? So Dan, essentially what your job is as the Gator lender is to get on the phone, with that title company. You actually will have, we actually show people how to have the right documentation in place to have yourself protected, because essentially the documents that we use when we're lending money, especially earnest money on a deal, is that we'll have an agreement signed with the person that has the purchase contract that essentially states, and we also make sure that the title company is on board with it. They're able to get that refund back in our documentation, that say if that's at day 10 of the inspection period, the contract's going to expire the earnest money is going to have to be given to the seller 1 day later, that our agreement that we have with that buyer is that our money is being refunded from the title company on the last day of the inspection period. So we have that documentation signed with the buyer and given to the title company or the closing attorney, and we have that conversation on the phone with them, making sure they understand it. The buyer that's utilizing us for the earnest money understands it, and that we know that there doesn't need to be a mutual cancellation to get those funds back. So that and many other things, Pace will be talking about next Saturday, 9 a.m., October 8th. That's Pacific time. That is Arizona time. So I'll post that one more time in the comment section, and then I will leave you guys for the rest of the evening. And if you guys got any value from Sunday service, whether tonight or anytime, from past Sunday services, we always love to hear from you, tagging us on Instagram, posting, reposting shares or takeaways that you got from a Sunday service episode. That really lights Pace and me up. And, if you don't have a community that's excited about real estate like we are and finding new ways to be able to make money in real estate, join our community. On Facebook, it's a free Facebook group. It's called Creative Finance with Pace Morby. You could jump into that group, start, looking for people in your local market, start building a community around, find some people that you can squat up with, maybe joint venture some deals, see how they're doing deals, and, share the things that you're working on and what you're struggling with and how you can help each other. Because at the end of the day, real estate's great and it's great to be able to make money and do these things, but it's really about the community that you start to build around you. With building a great community, you can do a lot of great things. So join the free Facebook group, find some awesome people in your market. Hopefully was able to give you guys some good insight on this. Love it. Robert says sub 2 provides 10x value every single day. Ty says Sunday service amazing. Watch practically every episode. The last thing I have is we actually used to run Sunday service on call like phone number where people would have to dial in to get onto Sundays. So we have came a long way from that to Instagram lives, and then eventually to where we are now, where we stream between multiple different platforms from Facebook to YouTube. We roll out onto iTunes and Spotify as well. So with that, everyone have an amazing evening. The link is one more time in the comment section for next Saturday's training with Pace Morby himself. So we'll see you guys. Have an amazing rest of your Sunday evening and have an awesome week. Get out there and take action. We'll see you.